Did he have his furniture in house?
No.
He didn't move it yet. He still has the other place on,
Yeah.
You just pray every day.
Okay, we're live.
I'm sure you would too.
Let's stay right there.
You're pushing it really. When the firemen are still there.
We're live, guys. We're live.
Okay, good evening and welcome. This time I'm gonna call the Board of Aldermen special virtual meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America,
republic for which it stands, one nation.
one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Nothing, I told John that I won't first right refusal on his house if his kids don't want it. I'm trying to get it in writing though.
The scorch.
Okay, at this time, I'll give the roll call. John Anglace.
Present.
Eric McPherson.
Present.
Chris Belmacy.
Here.
David Gidwani.
Here.
Joanna Carloni.
Present.
Maureen McGordy. Anthony Simonetti.
Present.
Bernie Simons. Okay. We'll go to the agenda items. The first item is item number 1 is funding for the purchase of the police department vehicles. So let's put this motion on the floor and I'll speak to it.
Move to appropriate $104,409 for the purchase of 2 fully outfitted police department vehicles with funding to come from automatic bonding pursuant to section 7.16 of the city charter.
Second. Motion is made by Anglace and seconded by Simonetti. Discussion. So let me start it off by saying that you probably remember not too long ago, a few months ago, that we purchased 4 police vehicles, and then we outfitted them with the new computers and the lights. We were notified by the dealers they had 2 more and they would hold the price, and I just think that it makes sense. It's been a few years since we bought police cars. This will bring the total number to 6. These cars are coming fully equipped, so there's nothing that they have to be done. Anybody have any questions?
No.
No. No.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? Are there any nays? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Item number 2 is the appointment to the Water Pollution Control Authority.
Move to appoint the following person to the Water Pollution Control Authority effective immediately. Joseph Pagliaro, unaffiliated, 117 Wellsview Road, Shelton, Connecticut.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Motion is made by Anglace and seconded by McPherson. Any discussion? Pretty self-explanatory. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Are there any opposed? Hearing none opposed, the motion passes unanimously. Let the record reflect that Bernie Simons has now joined the meeting. Takes us to item number 3 is a resolution in support of home rule in municipal zoning decision-making.
Whereas Connecticut's towns and cities successfully use local zoning and planning processes to balance private property rights, the community's interests, demands on infrastructure, housing needs, and economic growth, and whereas local control and decision-making empowers the residents and taxpayers of each town and city to carefully tailor zoning policies that reflect its unique geography, economy, and housing market, and whereas localized decision-making ensures the greatest level of accountability while allowing affected community members the greatest level of input and a platform through a public hearing to provide specific, relevant information on potential impacts that only they would have knowledge of. And whereas local control and local input enable neighbors and the local community to provide beneficial suggestions, identify errors, and maximize community buy-in on zoning proposals. And whereas proposals have been introduced in the General Assembly to strip local planning and zoning processes from towns and cities. And whereas proposals have been introduced in the General Assembly to allow, by right, market value multifamily development that will not generate any new affordable housing units. And whereas proposals have been introduced in the General Assembly to allow outside housing authorities within 15 miles radius to develop affordable housing projects within our city. And whereas, by right, multifamily development can lead to exponential market value outbuilding and can cause adverse impacts to town infrastructure. And whereas, by right, development gives outsized rights to builders over all other property owners and prevents local planning and zoning commissions from identifying the potential impacts of their project and imposing conditions upon a developer to address those direct impacts. And whereas eliminating public hearings and community input on zoning matters would have unintended consequences such as increased infrastructure costs, increased local property taxes, and reduced home and business values, which will be borne by the town residents. And whereas each town and city already have the choice to modify and abolish its zoning ordinances if the elected town or city government decides it best serves the community's interests. And now, be it resolved that the Board of Aldermen of the City of Shelton opposes a state-mandated one-size-fits-all zoning legislation and the ability of any outside housing authority to have jurisdiction on our town's affordable housing plan, and any similar legislation that would further overrule, remove, or diminish local control and decision-making related to planning and zoning or affordable housing from the City of Shelton. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be sent to all state representatives and state senators representing this town, to all members of the state legislature's planning and development, finance, and housing committees, and to all legislators sponsoring bills that remove local control of planning and zoning and affordable housing. So moved.
Motion is made and by Anglais and seconded by Simonet. Is there any discussion, any comments?
Go ahead.
Oh, you got it, Chris.
No, I just had a question. So when it gets to the state level, what if we don't prevail? What is our recourse? Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay, thank you.
Anthony?
Thank you. I completely agree with what we just did. I think that our state it should be sent to not just our state legislators, but to all the state legislators, if that's possible, electronically or otherwise, so that they understand that cities like Shelton feel that they're stepping in the wrong direction when they come to tell us how to take care of our land problems, land situations.
Agreed. Mm-hmm.
Okay, anybody else?
I think this resolution is important, not only for the City of Shelton, but all 169 municipalities in the state of Connecticut. I don't know how many others are adopting resolutions or speaking out in opposition to it, but this is this is a nightmare of legislation that takes away all local input and puts it in the hands of the state legislators who are going to legislate that you have the right to come in and just pick a spot and put it in the designated area in our town. And they're not even saying, look, will you agree with us that this is the area to put it in? So there's no input even from the outset. They have given, as pointed out in the meeting last week with the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, this was pointed out by our planning and zoning administrator, who said that the state has already asked us, and we are diligently working on an affordable housing plan. But they're now through this legislation saying, we don't care what you're doing, we don't care what your plan is, we don't want to know what your plan is, we want to take it away from you, and we'll legislate all planning and zoning matters up here in Hartford. Well, that just doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't work. And I think there should be more people speaking out in opposition to this throughout the state and right here in our own city of Shelton, Connecticut. And I hope they know what's going on. I hope this resolution, if it's passed, helps to build an awareness so they can call their legislators, call any legislator that's on the committees that are working on this and tell them they're in opposition to it. Thank you.
May I ask, Your Honor, has the planning and zoning taken this up, a similar document?
It was mentioned at their meeting. I think that they'll probably vote on it at their next meeting, is what my understanding is.
Thank you.
May I mention just one thing that I also understand?
I can't hear.
I just wanted to mention one thing that I was understanding. There may be up to 35 bills at the state legislature that have this planning and zoning woven into it under different auspices that they could kick it in for different reasons. So you should be aware that, kind of like the Trojan horse, they're wheeling those things out, and it could kick in, and you wouldn't even know they voted on it.
All done by design.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So how can we notify and alert and engage other towns so they're aware of this? Because I know people from other towns and they don't even know what I'm talking about.
Herein lies the problem in America. It's okay for 8 months to burn a city and loot and pillage, Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington, and there's no outrage and no one cares, and the people think it's okay. It's a real problem in the country, the lack of interest and pushback to say that these things are wrong.
Is that, Chris, may I respond to that? That's one of the things that I've discussed with Connecticut Conference of Municipalities. That I feel is their role as the organization that we belong to that's supposed to be looking out for local municipal interests. And this is clearly not in the best interest of municipalities. And I've asked them to upgrade their communications link. They haven't done the job. I don't think they've been doing the job that they're capable of and that they've done in the past. And I have no reason, I don't know why, but we brought this out at the meeting with them to ratchet it up. And I followed up with them and reinforced it with an email, and I expect that they're going to make sure that everybody, but they sent me a list of the people that are on that committee, this TCM committee that's working with Desegregate Connecticut to try and get a bill, something that is acceptable. I mean, this whole thing, the basis, as I view it, the basis for starting this whole legislation was to build more affordable housing and to bring, and to provide more opportunities for people of color that's a commendable objective. However, they're going about it the wrong way. The present law that's been on the books for a number of years, affordable housing law, that's been on the books for a number of years, it's poorly written. It has to be rewritten. And they were going about it in the right way by seeking comment from each of the municipalities and giving us a chance to say, how can we make it better and how can we improve the number of affordable housing units in our community? But now they just took the rug out from under us and said we don't care. And we're going to legislate right here from Hartford. That's wrong, totally wrong.
I agree.
At this time, we'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Are there any opposed? Hearing none opposed, the motion passes unanimously. Takes us to item number 4, executive session. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session and ask that Corporation Counsel be invited.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Simonetti and seconded by Ingles. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.